Okay, we're on. Here we go. So, anyway, this is number 3. And today we're talking about the fucking climate change deniers. Why have I picked these awesome people to talk about? We've been plagued by these heretics. Well, God, you're not happy with the word heretics, but hell, it's not like this is not a religion. It's always a religion, and there's always people who basically are doing the opposite thing for almost 2 decades, probably longer than 2 decades in any case. Why is it that the origin of these fuckwits is not more clearly known? That's because it's all paid for. You know, if I want to be a conspiratologist, whatever you want to call these creatures, you basically have to start believing in things that are not real. So what will it take for them to stop? And will they have they actually switched horses? So climate change has clearly hit us and is devastating peoples of the world, yet effective climate transition activities are being talked against by people like Barnaby Joyce and David Littleproud. Is the source of this resistance truly the misinformed masses of people? Or is it systematic brainwashing that we see so often when 3-word slogans are used to corrupt and decimate simple brains into submission to powerful lobbies? Who is making money out of these poor suckers, and why does it keep happening? Let's have a look at first, I guess, what is the current, or 2020 really is when I've got information on stuff, as in where and what the behavior of climate change deniers. So let me show you what I've come across from. This is from Statistica. Let's share that. So here we go. Indonesia, of all places, is source of one of the top sources of denialists, and following second is the US.
Well, that one you can expect.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Now you can understand where they are coming from in a perspective. They sell oil. They don't want to be stopping to sell oil. Egypt, India, Mexico, Thailand, Australia. Those, they say, are the top. Now, those colors, climate is not changing. Small percentage. These are small percentages. Why the hell do politicians bother about small percentages? Don't quite understand. Maybe there's something to this.
Well, yeah, of course. So it's an unusual one that you've got places like Egypt in there. I mean, that's bizarre.
This is statistical information gathered across the board. Let's have a look and see. It's really strange. Let's see. From the World Economic Forum annual meeting, I've got information here about how much do you trust what scientists say about the environment. And guess what? India is very believing in climate, according to this, but when you look at this other side, India has got 16% of deniers. So, it's weird. It is weird. Bangladesh, Pakistan, China are all in the positive. They're looking to, theoretically, Bangladesh, I understand, 90% of that country is going to be inundated.
Yeah, will disappear.
So they know this, that it's happening. They can see it's happening. Now, when you look at, how do people think about this, you can see that different parts of the world think of this quite differently. But on the whole, across the board, most people actually think climate change is happening. and that it is human related. Global warming is caused mostly by human activity. That's the light blue.
Yeah.
Global warming doesn't exist is that dark blue, light one down the bottom, and global warming is caused mostly by natural patterns is the cyan
So
or
the
cyan.
consensus is that it is happening, yet everyone focuses on the tiny percentage of
People who basically don't believe it is out there, and they think, politicians for some reason think that if we focus on them, we'll get votes.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, look, the Liberal Party is generously handing everything over, as far as I'm concerned. Fantastic idea, you know. Get off the program, make sure you're a marginalized area, and totally, you know, get wiped out. Continue to get wiped out, please. Overall, more than 2/3 of people agree that it is caused mostly by human activity. Vast majority Latin America, Caribbean expressing this view. 60%, less than 60% of people share this view in North America. For some reason, North America thinks they are exceptional. They won't get affected by this.
Yeah.
That they can continue to behave in the way that they have and expect other people to treat them well. This is, you know, I think Trump's misaligned brain that I can't understand. You know, he can say he feels he can lie every which way and things will work still for him. Well, he might get the Peace Prize from the soccer simply because his country is running the thing, but you know, it means fuck all. Now, I did a bit of AI work because, you know, it's very simple to do the AI work in comparison to actually doing a lot of research. So, public opinion in 2024, 25. That stuff that we saw before is 2020. So, that was published in 2020. That's a while back. It's 5 years. 5 years we could have moved. But it's actually strong consensus for action, 80%. 89% want more action, but a perception gap means many mistakenly think others do not share this concern. So in other words, a lot of people really want things to happen, but we don't think the neighbors want things to happen for some reason.
Oh, yes.
A median, which is basically the rough center of where opinions lie, is 67% of adults across 25 nations consider climate change a major threat. Yeah, guess what? We're prevaricating. We're not doing fuck all.
Well, of course.
Yeah, of course.
No argument. I mean, you saw it today in the front pages that AEMO thinks that wind investment in wind farms has not only stalled but is literally on the verge of collapsing. That you know, and I wish Glenn was here, but here's a question for you. Has Australia built any offshore wind farms?
There's one that I'm aware of that was planned. I'm not sure how far it's being progressed. But, you know, that's kind of not quite on topic. It's just broad brush.
But people deny that there's a problem and they kick up a stink, and you know, you see the result now that a lot of the investors are sort of, hey, I'm out of here. I'm not going to invest because, you know, the tiny percentage
yeah, the tail wagging the dog. So, you know, this is why I call them heretics. They basically, you know, are causing us as a whole damage, significant damage, by behaving this. But where are these people coming from? Why are they there? I mean, if you look a little bit further down this little analysis, right? So we've got Republicans who obviously, from our experience, are people who are totally brainwashed. I mean, who the hell would believe anything that Trump would say at this point in time and think that he is not some creature that Putin has put into power?
Well, the whole Ukraine war and his behaviour is just mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling. I can't understand. I mean, I can't understand how being diplomatic is going to help at this particular point in time. Literally, I would say NATO, kick the US out of NATO, bring in Ukraine. There won't be a war. There simply can't be. Russia has no capacity to deal with this.
No, and they're struggling as is.
The same, if Susan Lee does not...
His own conspiracy theories. He believes them so much that he thinks that, a country being invaded, it's their fault. I mean, he's had decades of conspiracy theory career, so much so that, that he believes his own...
rhetoric?
Yeah, so that
we're talking about...
Trump and his belief that Ukraine started this. Conspiracy theory.
He doesn't believe that. He's been told what to say, I reckon. Same happens with same happened with our liberal people, right?
Yeah.
They've been told what to say. They've been told to toe the line, keep coal in play, keep gas in play. I mean, it's fair enough. We need to transition, but the quicker we transition, the better for us. And no, the slower we transition, the people who basically are making money today will continue to make money. Why do we have Murdoch on the side of gas? Because it creates dissension, and the more dissension, the more papers or more news he can sell.
Well, obviously, yes. Well, the whole Murdoch pushing conspiracy theories. We've discussed this before. He's a very sort of mendacious, deliberately splitting people to sell papers. But now, newspapers are in their last couple of years.
No, but he's intermediate, mate. He's intermediate, right? And the people that basically have control over social media. I mean, today's the day. Today is the day when 16-year-olds get off. And guess what? All through every single media outlet, it's going to be trouble, the kids can get past it, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? If that happens, right, if they get past it, however they get past it will be handled again. And it is about actually taking away the power from the social media outlets rather than trying to, there's some level of protection, but it's not a huge amount. But you take that power away from them, and guess what? They will react. They will start doing the things that they need to do.
Well, that's the theory.
If you don't have a bite, if you take 16-year-olds and then you move it on and take 18-year-olds, then you can keep moving up till you get to 25. See what happens. The situation basically will get better because you need to have a bite. At present, it's all bark with no bite. And you can't control them if you don't have a bite. And if you basically legislate, you force them to do stuff, right?
A lot of the social media that I've been looking at the last few days, especially Australian-based stuff. There's a pretty strong conspiratorial streak that they believe that, you know, you begin with banning social media on 16-year-olds is only one step away from, you know, controlling the media for adults as well. So that, you know, a lot of these...
Well, I think there needs to be control of the media for adults. Controls at the point where you actually have to nominate where your facts are from. It needs to be a media service based on truth, and this is what I'm about. This is why I'm saying the climate denialists basically get the highest level of being promoted up the chain for more people to see, rather than the other way around, where you go, well, you know, this is fallacy, this is stupid, this does not make sense. We can't have, you know, falsehood ride over truth, and that's what climate denialists are about.
Yeah.
And who profits from that? Who are the people who are actually paying for that?
Well, obviously there's without sounding conspiratorial, there are people in the shadows, in the background, that do benefit enormously. I mean, obviously the fossil fuel giants get to live for another decade.
Yeah.
So obviously
Yeah.
they make it in, and, you know, Saudi Arabia is probably the largest of the lot. So for them, it's absolutely...
It's create confusion or die. And the point is, right, if you look at it, people like Shell have actually moved into batteries. So they know that these things are coming, and they have moved technologies and moved into different fields to maintain themselves in the energy field. They can.
So that's the thing that puzzles me about the Liberals here locally, is that they tout themselves as the business party in Australian politics, and yet, I mean, clearly the alternate energy is big business, and so that you're literally shooting yourself in the foot by believing all this crap, and you're losing out on, well, jobs by denying it, by creating this atmosphere over the last 20, 25 years that you've got basically all of rural Australia frothing at the mouth at any sort of change. And so you're shooting yourself in the foot economically.
Well, politically as well. So what I'm showing on screen is basically this simple fact that as we age, you're finding, as time goes by, the majority of people actually don't believe a word of what the Liberal Party is saying. And that if they don't get on the program, if they don't start taking care of climate change and dealing with it in a positive way, and this is what I was talking about, have they switched horses? They're now basically trying to jump ship and say, oh, all right, climate change is happening, but that's not the way to deal with it. So they're creating this fuddle that we should try different things, when the things that's most likely to work and is cheapest to deal with, you know, one of the things about Little Prad's perspective of, oh, we'll take 30 years, or we'll take you know, a number of years to bring in technology like nuclear, but we can do it quickly. Totally a fallacy. Large projects like nuclear are the most likely to fail, most likely to have greater losses and greater situations of overrun, compared to the projects that we're currently working on, solar and wind are the least, not only cost-wise, but
Yeah.
least cost risk-wise.
That's the bizarre thing that you know they're putting their faith in technology, and yet they're one of the most technologically averse group of people. They don't want to change anything. You know, we don't want to change NBN. We will never use it. It's not
Yeah,
required.
just look at what has happened, right? Look what happened, and the other side of it, from a liberal perspective, they don't, they started to move from the gender side. They started to go, all right, we better have some women leaders.
Yes,
You know,
I've noticed Adelaide and Melbourne have chosen 2 female leaders.
Yeah. Women more concerned about the climate than men in general.
Yeah, of course. But it's their own. They're shooting themselves in the foot. The Barnaby Joyce has been criminal in his behaviour by being so anti everything that he's just put this country so far behind.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no words to describe how despicable a person like that is when you consider the fact that what is actually happening is they're being bankrolled. That he's like a Trump, right? He's being like Putin basically, and the big money has basically been bankrolling Trump.
Yeah.
And the consequence of that is, look, the meme coin that Trump's basically put in has earned him billions of dollars. That is totally, entirely wrong. President is not supposed to try to gain money by their ascendancy.
Yeah.
And the same with Barnaby Joyce. If he actually gets elected in any fashion, someone is basically paying to get him there.
And we all know who it is because, he regularly attends birthday parties there. But, as we've said, he's been a disaster for industry in this country. I mean, so many jobs lost because of his just stupidity. And I won't mention, hypocrisy on a grand scale from him. And yet the locals in his area love him.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, there are actually people in his area trying to get rid of him. But, the other side of it is, harking back to what we've talked about. Why are the stakeholders of media so against climate change? Why and how is that being fed by the coal lobby, the gas lobby? And, sure, you might make a lot of money out of it, but the crisis that you create is going to cost us more. And, if you're a conservative and you think you can claim to be socially or financially responsible, you can't. Everything that they've done basically has created the crisis that we're in. 10 years of inaction have created more than 10 years of inaction have created the crisis that we're in. And if this is selling news and media, I would say just let's go to social media and get rid of the news. It's just wrong.
Well, it is. I mean, Murdoch plays inordinately larger than deserved role in Australian life, and it goes back 100 years.
Mm. Well,
Ah,
at that, I'm going to call an end to this broadcast. Um, Hopefully, we'll have something else to talk about that's more enlightening next time.
yes, yes.
Thanks, Con.